sometimes I forget all the bullshit that I went through, because when you recover, believe it or not, when you recover and you put this shit to bed, right? The brain doesn't focus on it anymore, and it puts it in the files, in the deep files, and goes, all right, that's done. Let's go work on this new shit, right? And then you forget shit. And if you want to remember stuff, especially with, the journey of recovery, and the hell that I went through, and the suffering that I went through, I have to sit there and do almost like a visual about it and bring it up again and relive it. So I have to sit there and go, okay, so what was my typical day? Let's go back. Oh yeah, I remember some of the, there's some of these markers that come up where there's, a memory stored that's very strong. You're like, oh shit, yeah, I remember that happened. But then what was my normal day like? Oh fuck, and that, right? So I have to sit in it to discover shit I forgot about. So I'm gonna probably have to make 4 parts to this, to describe what I went through when I was bedridden, and how the hell did I get out of it, and what was my days like. What were my days like? What can I remember? So if I forget some shit, I apologize, because sometimes I have to dig. So before I went for my surgery for diverticulitis, I started having symptoms popping up, and I didn't know what was wrong with me, right? It was to the last minute that they go, oh, we found the problem. You have diverticulitis. It's gotten pretty bad. You need to go for surgery now. I'm like, fuck. I was in and out of the hospital probably for 6 to 8 months, right? And I was trying to find what was wrong with me, because I kept having severe back problems, back pain. My balls started to hurt. It felt like Mike Tyson was going spinal. It felt like somebody was fucking uppercutting my balls on a regular basis, and that lasted a couple months. It would come and go. And I didn't know what was going on. And the doctors, because I went to the hospital all the time, would say, I think you might have a kidney stone, because that is what affects testicle pain, because it's indirect pain, right? It's indirect. I'm like, okay. So they did a CT scan. They're like, okay, nothing. I'm like, well, why do I have ball pain? Well, maybe it's working. Maybe we missed it. Maybe, it could be, but we're not sure, actually. So I had back pain, testicle pain, and then chronic fatigue syndrome came out of nowhere. I thought it was adrenal fatigue. Whatever. It was some sort of fatigue, and it was very weird. And I was on the fence. I'm like, is this fatigue, or am I having an artery that's going to burst? Do I have a leak in my fucking arteries? Because it felt like, you're going hard. You're like this machine in life. You're always strong. You always have endless amounts of energy. Oh, fuck yeah, you want to do that thing? Yeah, let's do it now. Right? I was able to fucking do things, 10 out of 10. No problem. Especially in a survival state, no problem. Let's do it. But all of a sudden, I felt like I was 102 years old. Right? I just started plumbing. It was a course that I was taking a plumbing course at college, and that, anything to do with plumbing, it's very, very labor intensive. It's hard work. You're using your brain, you're using your muscles that you never thought you're using before, and all the tools are heavy and awkward and jagged. Plus, I was 43 years old, and I was in a class full of 19, 20-year-olds. So they're at their prime, right? So I had to compete with these guys, right? Because the group only excelled as far as your weakest link. So I had to, right? And then all of a sudden, this chronic fatigue decided to show up. I was doing amazing. I got a scholarship. I was doing, I was getting A's. Everything was like, this is awesome. This is, the path. I'm fucking, the first time in my life I ever got an A. Right? Because I was always one of those lazy school people that would get C's and D's and F's, and I didn't, I was lazy. I didn't apply myself, right? And then finally, I'm kicking ass. But then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, I would go, and I was also calculating everything because of this, chronic fatigue. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I know I could kick ass. I know I could fucking destroy most of these guys, because we used to do these competitions with plumbing. How fast can you plumb this thing here? Okay, you put this together. Okay, go. They have a guy going, this old guy going, go, right? And you go, then you run across the the classroom, you bring it here, and then you put this other part, put it together, you go, time! Not bad. Helmet? You want to take a crack at this, right? And this was, some of these exercises were just for fun, just to see how, I'm like, fuck, man, I know I could crush this, but, man, even putting the toolbox that I had, which is heavy, right, on the counter, wiped me out. And I'm like, okay, I gotta go to the washroom. I'll be right back. Just gotta go. Just gotta go. So I go to the washroom and I would do body check, and I was like, even walking from one classroom to the washroom, I was wiped out. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I can't keep going like this. I got exams coming up. I gotta build a bunch of projects. I gotta create my life here. This is what's going on. So it was like slowly creeping in, the chronic fatigue. It wasn't at its it didn't show its full ugly face fully, but I saw little traces of it. So anyway, fast forward, had the surgery, and it's interesting. When I was having the surgery, the chronic fatigue lifted, because my concentration was on my fucking gut and having surgery and being in the hospital with all the beeping noises, and one guy died in my room, which is fucked up to deal with it alone, because just being in a room. One guy beside me just was recovering from a car crash, so his legs were all fucked up, and he's like, I can finally walk, oh my god, right? He's like, yeah, you should have seen me a month ago. I'm like, you've been here that long? He's like, yeah, man, some guy fucking ran me over. I'm like, whoa. And then this other guy, for me, it was very traumatic. He had, I didn't want to ask what he had. He had something happen to him. They tried to do surgery, and he was barely waking up. Some of the shit's still kind of fucked up. I remember the doctor was going, hello, Jerry. And the guy would go, and he's like, yeah, he's not going to make it. It sounded like the guy was in a different, like his soul was in a different galaxy already, and there's only little hints of him still there, right? And the doctor's like, yeah, he's not going to make it. I'm like, oh, right? And I'm sitting here waiting for my surgery. This other guy that was beside that guy was my age, and he was talking about how he's been back here getting more surgery to take out parts of his bowels because he had cancer. And I'm like, fuck already? You're fucking, how old are you, man? I'm like, shit. He's like, yeah, my veins are too small, so they had to put something in my neck. And I was like, oh, fuck. So there you got the doctors, they got this x-ray machine going, all right, he's like, oh, okay, put in, okay, no. And I'm like, okay, fuck. So I felt bad for him. I felt bad for I was so fucked, but I was still giving these people warm blanket. And oh shit, the guy beside me, right beside me, don't Google this shit. If you get triggered easily, don't listen to this next part. He had a fistula, right? He had surgery, and I know he was stressed because his wife was yelling at him while he had his bowels open still. They had something covering him because they were filling in with antibiotics because he had an infection, and they had to keep draining his infection, all kinds of crazy. And I could hear him moaning, like he had a feeding tube down his throat, and he kept moaning and going, oh, please, somebody give me some, I need some water. And they could only give him like ice chips, and he wanted to eat normal food. He wanted to drink water. He's like, oh, and he could only sit still like this for the week that I was there. He wasn't moving much, right? He couldn't. And so he was suffering, and he was moaning and crying, and he wouldn't listen to them. And they're like, no, sir, you have to, sir, right? Oh, what's going on? What are you? He just doesn't want to sit still. Oh my God. Like, what? I'm like, no shit, man. You're going through misery. Then a guy across from me, he was this old guy who had some sort of infection on his foot because he needed surgery. And he had surgery, and it was infected or something. And he started going delirious, right? He's like, Ralph, why are you here? Okay, Gordy, come here, get Ralph. Why isn't Ralph? And then people are like, no, sit down, sir. No, go to bed. And he had like this apparatus on him that when he left his bed, the alarms would go off. And then all these nurses would have to put him back to bed. He was hallucinating, and he thought he was in his old house 30 years ago and seeing people walk through the door, and it was annoying. I felt bad for him, but it was annoying because he kept triggering the alarm, so I could not sleep. I would get sleep in between, and they'd be like, okay, Howard, here's your shot, your daily night. Like, I had to get these shots so that I wouldn't get any blood clots. So they would give me shots in my gut, right? And then they would check my blood, and, you know, they would wake me up when I'm trying to sleep, and there's beeping and different sounds, and you can't sleep. You don't even know what, you don't even know what day it is. You don't know what time. It's like, it's miserable. I was sleeping, and then they woke me up from a deep sleep, finally getting some sleep, and they said, okay, get ready for surgery. Are you ready let's go. I'm like, what's going on? You know how when you wake up, you're groggy, you don't know what the fuck your name is, you don't know what planet you're on? That was me and them going, get ready for surgery. And before that even happened, the day before, I had to drink this shit to empty my bowels, and I was reacting to it, and my anxiety went, Mayday, right? I thought I was dying. So a nurse would give me Gravol to settle me down, because I was going through these crazy anxiety attacks where I thought I was dying right then and there. So she would check my vitals. She's like, look, your vitals are fine. No, don't worry, you're okay. Your oxygen, everything's good. You're all right. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? I've never felt like this before. And I was reacting from the stuff that I had to drink to empty my bowels. My brain was perceiving danger, right? And this was like a little bit of a sign of more shit to come, of my body reacting to shit for the next 2.5 years. Anyway, so it was like a little glimpse, right? So, okay, so they like, get ready for surgery. I'm like, what? Now? Really? And I forgot to mention, this is the third time that they said, are you ready to go for surgery? The other 2 times they had to cancel. So it's like me being prepared, going, all right, here we go. All right, let's go. We can do this. And they're like, sorry, we're going to have to reschedule. A child came in, and it's more important. It's more of a serious issue. So we had to perform surgery on this person first before we perform it on you. I'm like, yeah, no problem. That's okay. Yeah. Then it happened again. I'm like, oh, okay, no problem. Okay, no problem. Because you're anticipating, you're getting prepared mentally. You're like, fuck, let's go. And then I think my guides, my higher self, set this all up to fuck with me. Because what an experience this was. You prepare, canceled. Prepare, canceled. Go to sleep, wake up, we're doing surgery, let's go. Let's walk them down the hall. I'm like, oh, fuck. Oh, I'm going through the hallway. There's nurses going, okay, we'll just put you to the side there. So I'm on the side, and they go, and then the fucking surgeon comes out. He's like, hi, Helmut, I'll be doing your surgery. So we're just letting you know here. You just sign this thing over here. And then the one nurse goes, oh, Helmut. Oh, yeah, I've seen you a couple times. Oh, I guess they figured out what's wrong with you. Oh, I'm so sorry that we didn't catch this earlier. Because those nurses, some of these nurses, they got annoyed with me showing up every fucking, 3 times a week going, oh, fuck, here he comes again. And now they finally found the shit. Right? And then she felt bad. And I had a little moment. I was like, no, it's okay. Right? Because I didn't really care about what the nurse was dealing with. I was trying to mentally prepare that I'm going in the surgery. So they put me to the side of the hallway. So like, okay, we'll be back. We're just going to put you here. We'll be right back. I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to mentally prepare. They're, bringing people past me. Right? People that just got out of surgery and going into surgery. Got out, blah, blah, blah. They're like, all right, let's go. So they put me in, and they put me in this room, right, with these lights. It reminded me of the movie Fire in the Sky, where the guy is in the room that's like with these lights going, and then they have this table that's like this and like this. So they had me laying, like, I was like, oh, fuck. And then they're putting tape, and they're like, okay, cool, is it? All right, so, and they're playing music. They're like, da, 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 da. I'm like, okay, that's good. That's good that this is, like, not a big deal. Okay, that's good. And then they had the monitor on, my heart rate's like, okay, sir, you're gonna have to try to calm down. All right, we got this. All right, so you're gonna have to try to calm down, right? And then I'm like, okay, but am I gonna be okay? And this is where you last minute you don't want to go under. You're like, oh my god, oh fuck, I'm gonna whatever. And then I was like, Helmut, just surrender. Fuck this shit. They're like, okay, so we're just gonna put this in, and you're slowly just count backwards, and darkness. I didn't even know I was alive. I don't know what was going on. Right? Silence. I don't know. Time didn't exist. As far as I know, I didn't exist. Boom, I wake up. I'm going like this. Oh my God, I'm freaking out because I got this intense pain. I don't know what's going on with me. I guess I'm a human being, right? And right now there's alarms happening in my brain saying pain, 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 pain. And this nurse is going, focus, helmet, 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 helmet. She was trying to tell me that I got to take, it was morphine, but I found out after that I was on something that was 20 times stronger than morphine. I forget the name. I had a whole course on it after because one of the doctors came and he said, okay, we're going to teach you about this. So don't be shy if you need this stuff because you're going through a lot of pain right now, sir. Make sure if you need it, use it. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, is there any way that I could be addicted to it? Is there any, I asked a couple of questions. I was like, you know what? I'll deal with the pain because I knew what was going on afterwards. I was healing, blah, blah, blah. But before surgery, your brain goes catastrophizes, right? So then I was, the nurse was trying to get my attention because I was freaking out. I was like, she's like, no, rest. Don't try to get up. Because I was flexing my muscles to get, and it's not good because I just had surgery down there. Right? She's like, no, here, press it. She's like, I'm like, press. Okay, I'm pressing. Nothing's working. And she's like, give it a second. Trust me. Give it a second. Just give it, look at me. I'm like, I'm like freaking out. Right? I don't want to do that here because there's people walking by, but I was freaking out, kept pressing. She's like, okay, now you can relax. Okay, just sit. And all of a sudden I started, I went down and then I passed out. And then they brought me to my room and I started to get my wits. And I was like, okay, I just had surgery. That was traumatic because apparently my surgery is around they're normally like 5 to 8 hours. I was in there about 5 to 6, I think. Not sure, but I know it was around five hours. So just imagine your body's going through, it's adding all kinds of loads to your body. Your brain's going, mayday, mayday, right? We had surgery for 5 fucking hours. My baseline is, if it wasn't high already before, it's now at fucking 5,000, right? And this bucket is just, right? It's just blasting off. Right, it's just so overfilled, and I just went through 5 hours of surgery. Makes sense, right? So, I'm in the healing area post surgery. A couple days later, my parents, they picked me up. The car ride, I felt weird. I felt like I wasn't gonna make it. I thought I was gonna die in the next couple days. I'm like, I've been fucking, it's like I felt like I was just butchered and put together and here you go, all right? So for everybody else, this is everything I was going through was normal. And it would have been normal if I went to surgery as a person that was regulated and my alarms were off. Technically, if I did that, I probably wouldn't have gotten sick in the beginning. But let's say I got sick, right? Even though I was regulated, which doesn't happen, but let's say that whole journey, I would have been able to handle a lot better. I would have had less symptoms, alarms would have been off, and even as a regular person going through this, some of the shit was scary. Even as a normal person, right? Even a normal person going in there, alarms would go off, right? But no, I went in there already on a high state of alert, already in a survival state, alarms already ringing, and then you throw fucking gasoline on that. What do you think is going to happen after when you get home, right? Well, actually nothing happened because it was the eye of the storm. Everything is quiet. I was like, okay, I'm healing, all right. I was like, I'm glad that's over. Right, chronic fatigue wasn't even there yet. It made a little guest appearance a month before. It fucked off for a couple weeks. Nothing. Eye of the storm. Okay, so I'm eating cookies, Christmas stuff. I'm like, oh fuck, this is gonna be great. Everything's back to normal. I'm eating food, right? And I would say 2 weeks later, 2 to 3 weeks later, that's when shit hit me like a ton of bricks. I was totally sideswiped. 70 symptoms. You can't eat shit. Your life is fucked. You're suffering now. You're overwhelmed with all these symptoms. you're fucking going crazy. You're like, ah, constantly, ah, right? But it went, me, I was trying to investigate. I was like, I can't believe I'm turning one of these freaks that I can't eat all this. And I already covered this in, I think, my other video. Bedridden to walking 10 kilometers. So this will be part 2. So I'm going to try not to, talk about this stuff too much in detail because you kind of get it. I'm going to talk about this, what I dealt with when I was bedridden. So, okay, 70 symptoms, right? I'm running down the hallway screaming, trying to ask God or somebody out there to help me, my guides. Please help me, give me answers. I don't know what's going on. And I was in a constant panic state for weeks. I think it was about 3 weeks. I was in a constant panic state. I couldn't sleep. I had insomnia. My blood pressure and heart rate was going all over the place. And then my resting heart rate was at 110, 120 at times when I was laying in bed. And my symptoms were morphing, changing, right? And I was discovering new symptoms. I'm discovering these scary fucking symptoms. So not only was I dealing with this, the loads of shit that I was dealing with for 15, probably 30 years of my life, right? This is my bucket now. It's overflowing, right? Because of 30 years of bullshit. Loads that I've, carrying for 747s through all these years of bad relationships, narcissists, which I'm going to make a video about, just about narcissism and dating one, being with one. Working shitty jobs, right? Just drinking, smoking cigarettes for fucking 15 years, antibiotics a bunch of times, surgery, just you name it. All these things that affect you mentally or physically in a negative way, right? Events, people passing away, all kinds of shit, right? You name it. Started to fill up my bucket, right? I was carrying 747s, not letting them go, not regulating, right? And then I go, you're with a narcissist, hate your job, you're underpaid and working double, you're working for other people because they're too lazy, right? Your coworkers, some of them are good and some of them are just backstabbers, and you're constantly in a survival state at work, and you come home, you're miserable, you're hardwired angry. I was a fucking angry Karen constantly, right? I was one of those people that you see on these YouTube pages, looking for things to complain about, always looking for a fight. I was miserable and I enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved to fucking be angry. I was like, yeah, fuck you. Yeah, you want to go? Okay, let's see. Okay, well, look at this. Right? I was relentless, angry, constantly. No wonder why I got sick. And then I had surgery, right? And then that was it. That was the last drop. So after surgery, like I get home, my mom and my wife, they were worried about me because they didn't tell me this at the time, but they're like, they knew something wasn't right because my face was like gray and white, sometimes green, sometimes gray and white. They're like, the life looked like it was sucked out of you. Shit wasn't right. I thought they fucked up my surgery because I could feel my colon, I could feel all kinds of parts of my body I never felt before. I was like hypersensitive, and everything was, I was suffering and surviving through every feeling and alarm that I was going through at the time. Running down the hallways, screaming, freaking out, can't sleep, waking up, thinking I'm, like, every couple of hours I thought I was dying. I thought it was it. Right? So then I was bedridden. I was healing bedridden. I never wanted to get up to face life because I was like, I'm either going to die in a couple of weeks, or I'm going to be one of those people that's on disability that's going to be constantly suffering. And my fear was more about the suffering. Like I would have rather died so that there's an end than be a person that suffered for another 15 years being on disability, having all my life dreams squashed. Because I had lots of dreams. I had a lot of things that I wanted to do with my life. Right? Well, I thought I did. I thought I had picked paths that I wanted to do. Not till later on did I realize, you know what? I didn't want to do any of that shit. Right? A lot of those things were about having shit. And I totally missed it. I totally missed the point of life. I think that's why we go through this shit. Anyway. So, half the time, I would say 95%, the first 6 months, I barely went outside. I was inside, in bed. I was usually, and I just couldn't wait to always be in bed because everything else was surviving through, making my steaks because I had 2 safe foods. The whole job of doing that was a survival thing, right? I didn't even want to put salt and pepper on it because it's just one more thing that I had to do. So eventually, I had a routine of misery that I was doing. I would meet my wife at the door around, she'd come home at 3, usually, or 4. I would get out of bed at 2, make the bed, make it seem like I was up most of the day, try to do something, which was impossible. And I would try to be normal for when she showed. And when she showed up, they're like, "Hi, how's it going?" And I was like, my mind was like, "Oh fuck, I'm dying. Oh my god, fuck, I had 70 symptoms. If I could just tell you." Instead, I was like, "No, I'm good. How was your day? How was your day? Tell me all about it." And then she'd tell me about, well, what's it? And then this fucking, and then this bitch, she fucking did a little bit like, and I wasn't really listening to her, but I just wanted to be there. I was surviving, not running to the hospital, but I didn't, at the same time, I didn't want her to know how I was feeling because I didn't want her to get sick and tired of dealing with me because that would trigger me. And then it's just more alarms and more alarms. So I just tried to survive through looking normal. But you could tell that I was not normal. I was so fucked. And, of course, I'll make another video about how our significant others and our family, our daughter and parents, what they got to deal with. That's another whole angle that I try to also be aware of. I'm like, man, this is hard on them. They don't have their husband or they don't have their father and their son anymore. There's this different person that's, going through, like, they're surviving through hell constantly, and it's hard on them too. At this time, I'm mostly indoors, and we get a senior dog because the owner of the senior dog passed away, bad situation. And even though I was going through my hell, I was like, no. The thought of the dog having no place to stay made me feel sick. I was like, no. Bring that dog here. Fuck it. We'll figure it out. We'll bring him. You know what? We'll find another home. But I'll fucking deal with it. Right? And then the dog came. I was like, oh, fuck. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with this. A senior dog who's, dealing with its own trauma right now. Because it saw its owner pass away. So it's dealing with anxiety and trauma. I'm like, fuck. And the dog didn't want nothing to do with me. It sat in the corner of survival. Right, and I'm over here fucking like, hey doggy, oh fuck. Right, and her name was Chloe. And she had to pee. She had to go outside. She had to do her thing. Right, and she had to feel welcome. And she was going through shit. Right, her anxiety gave me anxiety. But I had to get out of my shell to calm her down, which was a fucking gift given to me. This dog was given to me to help me in my recovery journey. I made a video about it, but you know what? I should make a part 2. Well, my wife had to take the dog for long walks. And this was in the winter. A lot of snow at that time. Very cold. And I can't fucking do it. So the deal was she would take the dog in the morning for a walk and after she came home from work. And I was responsible for taking the dog out just in front of the front door. Just, okay, go for a pee. Okay, come back. Okay, come back. Okay, come back. Right? So, and eventually I would take it right around the bend. Right? And this is when the chronic fatigue started to settle in. Gut issues, paralyzing anxiety, all the symptoms. But, I had these symptoms long, like tachycardia, right? All this shit was strong, but I was kind of familiar with these symptoms already. I'm like, this is my life, whatever, this is going to be my life. And at that time, when I got the dog, I quit smoking. I had to. because every time I had a cigarette, it was like a bomb went off, and I would have a full-blown panic attack. Like, I was finally, because I was in a panic for like constant panic for 3 weeks to a month, and then of course the anxiety was always there, but every time I had a smoke, it would put me into a panic spike that was debilitating, and I tried to cope with that by putting salt baths and some sort of magnesium salt bath into my bath, and it would calm me down maybe 20%. Right? It was a coping mechanism, but it worked somewhat. So I was like, I gotta quit smoking because I'm going fucking crazy. Every smoke was bringing me to hell. Right? It was bringing me to hell, like a different form of exorcism, not like the OCD exorcism. This is a different type of exorcism, right? So I had to quit. It was hard, right? If I didn't have this constant fear biting my ass, right, sucking my soul, there's no way I would have quit smoking. Sometimes you need fear to cripple you to make change. Because most of my life, if I didn't have fear, I just didn't do shit. I'm too lazy. Repeat life. Repeat those old behavior patterns, right? I just kept getting rustier and rustier and sicker. So falling on your face puts that fire in your ass to make the changes, and that's what I did. I quit smoking. So that gave me a bit of relief from my loads. It was like, all right, this chunk, all right, now you can kind of structure your day. So I had a routine. I at this time I was still, going to bed at 3 a.m, waking up at 10, 11, right, in bed most of the time, going down rabbit holes with YouTube, following these gurus, these protocols with all these weird supplements and making me sick. I'm sure there was times where I almost fucking killed myself taking some of these fucking protocols that were dangerous. That's why don't go on these Facebook groups. Don't go down these fucking rabbit holes. Get out. Don't follow some of these YouTube gurus that are asking you to take certain supplements and they give you all the fucking math and go, yeah, but you see, when this is down, when you have to take this supplement and you put this in, and then you start to regulate and everything starts to work fine, and you fucking, and that's what happened to me, and then I start to, and I feel great, fucking, Meanwhile, you hear later that are having fucking emergency surgery because they have liver failure and blah, 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 right? And I was taking the advice from these people and I was doing the shit on myself. Because when you're so fucking scared, you're willing to try anything. Because you don't know what the fuck is going on. So that's when this is the period when I was bedridden for a couple of months. Right? My routine was get up just in time to eat so that you're up to greet the wife. And then you're surviving being normal around the wife. Yeah. Sorry. Right? And then I gotta go back to the room. My room was my safe spot. Right? And there became a routine where my wife started to see, oh, he's going to the room. Okay, just let him be. And I would tell her, I don't know how long this is gonna take. She's like, yeah, but you've been dealing with this now for a month. Like, this, shouldn't you be recovering from the surgery? I'm like, no, this is new. I'm reacting to all kinds of foods. I don't know, I have post-traumatic stress. I have all this thing. I'm making appointments with naturopaths, and they're really good. So, this is going to be a little bit more delayed. I got, I've got a plan. I got some SIBO thing going on. Once I fix my gut, everything will be okay again. But just, I just need more time, and I know, and I'm freaking out. I know. And she's like, okay, well, do what you got to do. Like, tell me what, I don't know what I can do. I'm like, there's not much you can do. Just be patient and try to understand it. This is I'm going through fucking hell. Right? And then I'm worried that she's worried. I'm worried that, I'm being a pain in the ass. Because for every little thing, I had to go to the room. I'm in my room. I'm in my safe zone. I'm like having freakouts in my room, closing the door so she wouldn't see. I let it all out in that room. That room was necessary. I needed to have that room. I needed to fall on my face. I needed to have my freakouts. Then I found DNRS because the answers were given to me. I was lucky. I found DNRS. I saw some success stories and I was like, that's me. Oh shit, man, that's me. I can recover. I'm doing this shit. So I started doing DNRS and I had a routine. Sure, I was feeling like shit, but for some reason, knowing that there's a path, even though it was the most craziest fucking roller coaster nightmare path on this planet, it was a path. So that gave me some relief, right? I was willing to suffer through this shit with all my symptoms and create a routine. So I started creating a routine. I started taking the dog. Even with my chronic fatigue, I didn't give a fuck because I know I'm going to regulate. This is all going to go away. I get it. I get the light. Everything started making sense slowly. I'm like, fuck it. Because there was times where I was like, I want a heart attack. Give me a heart attack. I would do the snow for like 30 seconds and I would be fucking done. Right? I was like, right? Even bringing groceries up, even walking up the stairs a couple of steps, I was fucking done. It felt like I ran hard for 5 kilometers. Right? Just walking a couple of steps, or even going from one room to another room. But then when I knew that this was all, me being in an elevated state of fight or flight, as soon as I knew that, and I trusted this information, right? As much as I have my beef with the NRS here and there, they did have a role to play in my life that I'm forever grateful for, right? So I grabbed that information. I put all the research that I did for the past 15, 20 years, I put it on the shelf. I said, fuck it. If I have chronic fatigue, this or that, if I have sold, whatever I have, I'm going to let it do its thing. I'm going to allow it to fucking do its thing, whatever it is, and I'm going to stick to this path. And then I started doing the snow. Come back in, exhausted, fucked up. I don't care. The thing is, with having chronic fatigue and 70 symptoms with it, it wasn't really put on a pedestal. Right? I had other symptoms that I was way more afraid of than chronic fatigue. Chronic fatigue was just another fucking thing in my way. Another obstacle. I was like, yeah, get the fuck out of my way. Right? So it was good to have another 69 symptoms that was getting my attention. It was good to have 10 that were crippling me with fear. Because these other 10 symptoms took away the importance of the chronic fatigue. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was able to get over it quicker. Because I stuck it into my routine, right? I tucked it in. I was like, all right, we're going to go bring the dog for a walk just around the little area of my street. And then we went halfway around the block. And then we went around the block. So this is me every day sticking to my routine, right? In the morning, do my visuals, or at that time it was called rounds. I was doing my rounds. I was doing the work. I didn't go outside much, just to bring the dog for a pee and back. I started to notice I was getting a sun sensitivity, but in the wintertime it's not so sunny, so I didn't notice that until I finally started to leave the house in the spring. This was like my second wave of, oh fuck! I was getting up, I was in the living room, my dog already went for a pee, Chloe was just sitting there, that's where I was lucky. This senior dog was already chill. It wasn't bugging me to do everything. As long as I fed the dog and she already had her morning walk, she was chill. She would just sit there, lay down, go, and look at me. She was content to be chilling near me. Good enough. So that gave me the opportunity just to focus on the path and the work. So in the morning, did my visuals, had a tea, make my food. What? What, Dolly? You want to go for another walk? Is that what it is? You're looking at me intensely. You're breathing heavily. What's Lemmy doing? Oh, fuckers, he's passed out. Look at this guy. Yeah, he's breathing. He's good. He's good. So I stuck with my routine while having the symptoms. So from the bedroom to the living room, right? So my space got bigger. Bedroom, living room, kitchen. And then I started training on multiple chemical sensitivity because my smells went through 1,000. I felt like I was a dog that could smell everything. So that came in. The problem with sensitivity came in, and I was focused on that. I was focused on training on that. So I didn't focus on chronic fatigue. I didn't cry, right? So other symptoms were getting my attention, and these other symptoms that were there weren't important. So while I was doing the work, these things lifted. So the chronic fatigue started to lift. And I started to take my dog around the block more often, and then around 2 blocks, and then I added this into my routine. Walking the dog, going for a walk, leaving the dog here, going for a walk by myself, doing my visuals, taking the car, going shopping, buying one thing. Shopping was another thing I had to deal with, right? Getting uncomfortable with that. And I have a couple of videos where I thought I was dying in the middle of shopping, right? Planning out my route, surviving through the whole ordeal. So I started slowly getting out of my comfort zone, out of my safe zones. And then the spring came and I was able to walk the dog on trails. So I started doing that and I noticed, shit, I got a sun sensitivity. So I had to wear long sleeve shirts. I wore a white hat, right? I dealt with it. I was like, fuck it, we're doing everything. So this was a common pattern, getting outside of my circle, right? While feeling like you're in hell, but it's a part of your routine. And it's great to have 70 symptoms because you're overwhelmed with different hells. There's 70 different hells, right? I wasn't able to put attention to one particular hell. So this helped me stick to my path. And I just generally felt like shit. It was just a shit show generally. So I was like, oh fuck, well, there's no point in me freaking out about this thing over here or that thing over there. I'm just going to freak about everything and then stick to my routine and keep going, right? So I kept doing that. My sun sensitivity lifted. That's why I say routine is really important, because you get to tuck in all these things that are hard, right? And you will. Your circle will get bigger. You'll be able to do more things that you weren't able to do before. The routine and a plan, right? And picking and choosing to do this 100%. Not straddling the fence, but going, we're fucking doing this. I don't care what happens. I don't care what comes up. If it happens, if I die, if I fucking whatever, let it be. Let it be. Let it come up. But we're sticking to this routine no matter what. So it was a mindset that I didn't care what we're doing, as long as we're doing this path. I don't care what happens, right? So I was pushing out of my circle, and I was uncomfortable, and it sucked, and I had nausea, and I had dizziness, but I still stuck to my routine no matter what. I stuck with it. Every day I felt like shit, and it was something else on the menu, right? If it was dizziness or nausea or chronic fatigue, or I could have tightness in my chest, I couldn't breathe, or I had flu-like symptoms, or I had bloody diarrhea, or my head felt hot, pain, back pain, all kinds of random pains, OCD looping, whatever it was, I stuck with my routine no matter what. And I pushed out of my circle more and more and more. And then within a year, I was walking 10 kilometers. Took me about a year, and I was walking 10 kilometers, because I remember walking 10 kilometers in the snow with the hail and the freezing rain and the minus 20 degrees Celsius, right? My face was like, I had freezer burn on my face. I had, and I kept it going. So maybe I was walking 10 kilometers a little bit earlier, but my memory only wants to bring up the winter part of it, because it was just so nasty that I hated the winter. I didn't know how I was going to do it. And I ended up loving the winter because of it, because I embraced it. I said, we're doing this no matter what. I love that it's challenging. I love that I hate it, right? I always went towards things that I hated, I felt uncomfortable with. Things that felt like it was a mountain, I was like, that's my target. That's what we're working on. And that's what I did with everything. If I hated something, or it was, my hell, my suffering hell, that's what we're going towards. So that's how I was able, with routine, of course, get out of my circle and make it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So that's what I used to say. It's like, I'm going to get out there and recalibrate. I'm going to get out there and feel like shit and recalibrate. The more you get out of your circle, the more you get out uncomfortable, the more you recalibrate. So that gives you a bit of an idea of what I was dealing with from being bedridden to walking. And doing the program and sticking with it and feeling like shit, of course. And how it worked for me. I'm sure I'll be making another video about this, because there's things I probably missed, right? There's probably situations where I'm like, oh fuck, I totally forgot, and I'll make another video about it. But you're getting more of the pieces of the puzzle together and understanding what I went through, which should help you on your journey. At first, before the music, it was laughter yoga. I couldn't do it. I just could not get into it. It actually was triggering me more because it made me angry, because these people were annoying, right? Like, I was showing my mom laughter yoga. I'm like, I gotta laugh, so let's do this. Okay. I was at her place, at my parents' place. She's like, yes, come on, put the laughter yoga, come on, let's do it. I do it with you, okay, come on. And then, there was things there, and then she's like, that is funny. And like, that's not funny. You don't think so? It's funny. I'm like, no, man, that's stupid. Come on, you have to laugh, pretend, think like it's funny, and then you will think it's funny. Come on, laugh. It's funny. And then I just couldn't. I was like, it's bullshit. This is fucking pissing me off. Fuck. Like, okay, that is funny. Look at this one. Try that one. What is that one? Okay, he looks funny. I like him. The guy, the big guy. He's hilarious. He's fun. Put him on. What is his name? Joe, Fat Joe guy. I don't know. Put it on. And then we would put it on. And I'm like, yeah, he's a guy. And I would just be laughing to make my mom happy. Like, yeah. Oh, fuck. And then I discovered music. In music, I can't help but authentically want to move my booty, right? I want to bust a fucking move, right? I'm a shitty fucking dancer. I can't dance for shit. But when something's on ding 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 ding, like I could be like ding 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 ding, right? I can't help but bust a fucking move. So I was like, okay, this is it. I can't put metal music on, right? The Beatles, okay, right? But I was like, groove music from the 70s, right? Earth, Wind, and Fire. I can listen to reggae, made me feel good, right? Good vibrations, shit like, not the song good vibrations, but it's give me good vibrations, right? It made me feel, I'm like, oh man, this is good. So that's what I did. I put music on everywhere I went. In the car, if I had to buy shit, I was putting music on in my 1 hour that I was doing with the elevating in my room, listening to music. And then after that, I was doing dishes, listening to music. And everywhere I went, I had this little Bluetooth speaker. There was music playing. So I was constantly, right, moving along and fucking, okay, fuck, I feel like shit. I feel like I gotta puke. Oh, fucking right. I love it. Give me more. I love this. Puke. Oh, fuck yeah. Fuck. So that's what I had to do. And you know what? It worked really well. And it brought my baseline down. I was surrendering to all these symptoms. I was going towards what was making me feel uncomfortable on purpose. I was leaning into it. I was going, I don't care. We're sticking to it. I was disciplined. And I was making dancing and elevating my new obsession. I was constantly, my wife would be like, good, elevate, good, awesome, elevate, oh my God, you're doing it, good, right? And my mom was like, good, dance if you have to dance, if you have to close the door, do it, and listen to music, right, and really enjoy what you're doing. That is good, Helmut. Yes, I dance too, I love to dance, right? I always like dancing too. And that's what got me on the path, and sticking on the path. Sure, there was obstacles later down the road. Sure, I was stuck. But I pivoted and I figured out the answers along the way. But this was what got me in the beginning, what got me there, and how I got progress. And was it hard? It was the hardest thing I ever did in my life. Every day was a struggle. Every day was I did not know how I was going to survive every day. I thought every day was the day that I was going to die, or some new debilitating symptom that was going to be stuck for me for the rest of my life, and I was going to suffer for maybe 20 years, and I was going to be in a wheelchair, and I was going to be blue, blue, blah, blue, 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 blah, blue, fill in the blanks. Yeah, it was a nightmare every day, but I was doing it. That's the thing. I was doing it. Think greater than you feel. Constantly. I was saying that to myself. Think greater than I feel. Oh, fuck. Think, fuck. Constantly. Right? My reality inside this program that I was running, I had to lead it. I had to lead first and go, okay, I know. We got to run this new program, right? But the old program's got to do its thing. I got to feel like shit. I got to lead myself in there, right? Into this new program and let that old program dissolve and die. And let it do its thing, right? I'm not going to stop it. I'm going to let it do its thing. But I had to get uncomfortable, right? Walk on lava with flip-flops up a mountain and lead myself through and create the new program of reality. You create it from within yourself. It isn't something that you take on and wear it and go, okay, thank you. It isn't something that you take as a pill, or isn't something, a light switch that you put on, right? No, it's something you create from within your heart, in your mind, in your spirit. You create this reality. You create this new program while walking up through the mountain with we got the Megman, you get the fucking flip-flops, right? It happens with you on the inside, and then the rest of your body starts to get in tune with it, right? And then you start to change, right? And everything falls into place slowly. But it's hard. It has to be hard. That's the only way to do it. If you're doing something that's hard, know that you're doing the right thing. So keep doing the hard thing.